Namaste friends, I am Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, Global Convener United Consciousness. Mahatma Gandhi once said, be the change that you want to see in the world. World has always seen two forces. Forces which unite us together and forces which divide us. And there has been two approaches towards these forces. Either criticizing what is wrong or contributing in establishing what is right. United Consciousness is a global initiative of Project Self to contribute and establish divine beyond divides with a mission of one consciousness, one being, because it is the same blood that flows in all. It is the same water that nourishes us. It is the same air that enriches us. It is the same earth that holds us. Same space envelops us. When a tiny virus doesn't discriminate between us, let's not let any mental virus divide us. Let's not discuss what happens before birth or what will happen after death. Let's focus on what happens after birth and what should happen before death. How should I live and lead in accord with my true nature? Maharshi Patanjali has established a divine scripture called Yoga Sutram, which talks about me identifying my own true nature, the philosophy of oneness, philosophy of union, uniting mind, body and soul, uniting me, you and all. Because when there is chaos inside, certainly there will be conflict outside. When there will be peace inside, there will be prosperity outside. Yoga Sutra establishes a grand model of 8 steps towards an ideal world. First step being yama, restraints, purifying my external behavior towards others and fellow beings, creating an ethically high society. Second, observations, niyamas, purifying my internal behavior, my understanding towards myself, making me an elevated individual. Then asanas, making a physically fit world with a purified body, a world with no disease. Pranayama, breath regulation, leads to purification of breath and regulation of mind. Pratyahara, sense control, leads to purification of sense and a non-distracted mind. Dharana, concentration, ability to focus on any object at my own will, leads to purification of mind and a focused mind. A regulated, non-distracted, focused mind certainly assures high quality of life. Then dhyana, meditation, ability to focus deep and long, leads to purification of I-ness, leads to culminates into fixing mind on my true purpose of life. And finally samadhi, absorption, purifying self and absorbed in my own purpose of life, reaching the goal of life. Yoga envisages a world where I am individually elevated with niyamas. We establish an ethically rooted society in yamas, physically healthy society with asanas, mentally peaceful world with pranayam and pratyahara, spiritually elevated world with dharana and dhyana, and enlightened being with samadhi. Then only there will be Ram Rajya established. Kingdom of heaven will be established, and that will be a real promised land. So dear friends, United Consciousness invites all of you together between 18th to 26th of June to contribute and witness one of the world's most diversified yoga event, International Yoga Week celebration. Sit back and witness one of the grand masters of yoga philosophy, life coaches, dancers, practitioners, meditators coming together on a common platform from more than 120 countries of the world to contribute in establishing divine beyond divides. So sit back, relax and enjoy and witness and get benefited by this grand event. I would like to extend my thanks to European Yoga Federation, AAYT Australia, Yogismo International South America, Project Self Incorporation USA, Spiritual Council in Africa, Siddhashram, Yoga Vidya Germany, Yogalam, World Movement for Ayurveda and Yoga for having contributed in this event. Thank you very much.
Project Self, a non-profit organization that stands for empowering humanity with essential life skills for building a strong foundation for lifelong wellness. Our programs help individuals to gain better health, emotional intelligence, and spiritual awareness. Classes include kids yoga, adult yoga, mindfulness meditation, and scriptural studies. Yoga for kids are designed to keep the kids as kids, resilient, focused, and fit. Kid-friendly program focus on their social and emotional well-being.
The ultimate solution prescribed by Krishna is the self-knowledge, because only with the self-knowledge all our sufferings and problems can be removed.
Understanding and learning scriptures will help you lead a life with its full potential. It will help you to find peace, happiness, and contentment in life. Yoga for Adult focus on physical postures that bring balance, flexibility, and body awareness. Carefully crafted program covers different aspects of meditation that bring body-mind relaxation and other powerful benefits including stress reduction.
Being a part of Project Self for over 5 years has not only given me so many physical benefits from doing yoga, but also many mental benefits from learning about mindfulness, wellness, and how to de-stress.
Pranayama class has helped me learn proper breathing technique, and the meditation class has helped me focus my mind better.
I am learning Vedanta as well as Bhagavad Gita to connect myself to the spiritual world as well as to understand the real meaning of this life.
A secret to keep smiling is to make others smile. Help others to be happy, and you shall be happy forever. This way of the life is preached and followed by our virtuous speaker Acharya Vivek Gupta ji, who is a living example of how to live life beautifully and spiritually without any worries. Acharya Vivek Gupta ji is the Acharya of Chinmaya Mission, Canada. He was brought up in Canada. He is a disciple of Pujaniya Swami Tejomayananda ji, whose continuous blessings and guidance has led his spiritual path. He joined Chinmaya Mission during high school for his spiritual excellence. As a successful Canadian business graduate, he believes that self-education remains incomplete without acquiring spiritual knowledge. He has perfectly quoted life in one sentence. Life is a gift. Living is an art. The more you explore it, the more you love your life. I would like to welcome Acharya Vivek ji. Please enlighten us all with your divine light.
Hari Om, and greetings from Pittsburgh. I've been part of the International Yoga Week celebration that United Consciousness is organizing. And as I listened to the different speakers, as I watched the different seekers, I feel undeserving to be included in this celebration. Yet this is my responsibility, which I humbly appreciate. In advance, I wish everyone the best during this International Yoga Week. The responsibility I've been given is to share insights into Satya, the foundation of life. Some years ago, I was in London and I was speaking to a group of families. There was kids there, there were adults there. And I'd asked all of them, why do you come here? Why do you come to these self-development programs? And one high school student raised his hand and said, I come here to learn how to make money. And after he said that, I said, you came to the wrong place. Here you don't learn how to make money, you learn how to give money. I wanted to know why he said this, so I started to probe him. What will you do with money? He said this. What will you do with that? He said this. And this kept on going on. He was an intelligent young man. Until finally, his Balavihar teacher, his self-development teacher, shuffled back and hit him with her elbow and said, just say happiness. And so he said happiness, and there's nothing else to probe then. If I asked all of you, are you happy? The majority would say yes. But then you're still giving me the opportunity to ask why. And the majority of you will say, because of this, this, and this. Just like that high school student. Right now, we are happy because of. That's called context. Like here, it's sunny outside, so I'm happy. This does not last. This is a game that never ends. And so, for anyone who's logically thinking about happiness, one's experience should be to be happy, not because of, rather, despite of. Despite the rain, despite people's opinions, that is called content. To grow from being happy because of to being happy despite of is called yoga. Yoga is being better. How? How does one evolve in this way? One needs a guide. Just like I need a driving instructor to learn how to drive, or I need a chief resident to teach me how to fix a vein, we need a guide for this subjective science, this subjective terrain. And the guide that we're focusing on to be better is Rishi Patanjali. The word Rishi means seer, S-E-E-R. One who can see what another person cannot see. One who can see what I can't see. Rishi Patanjali has developed a program for us to develop. This program is called classically as Ashtanga Yoga. Betterment in 8 ways. And the first part of this program, the first rung in this betterment is called Yama. Yama, in a very simple English way to understand, is don'ts. Don't do this, don't do that. And this makes complete sense because when we don't engage in that which harms us, it's almost like we create space in our lives, space in our heads to start to do what helps us. Within the yamas or don'ts, a practice is called satya. Satya has many definitions. the most popular being truth. This is from a very high perspective. Truth, existence, and so on. Who can relate to that? So then what do? We take Satya or truth and take it to a very diluted perspective. We make this legal. We make this verbal. You're telling me the truth and you're not telling me the truth. How? I keep using the word how because I want this to be practical. How does one go from this diluted perspective to this highest perspective? From legal to existence. Another program to help us to practice Satya, to live up to this, starts with, and these are all similar sounding words, so try to note these. Satsanga. See that prefix or that base sat is in all of these words. Satsanga, which means to associate, to revolve around noble people. If I can share this in English, it would be, how about inclusivity? Inclusivity. That evolves to sattva. Sattva. This is associating with noble books. If I can use an English word, it would be integrity. When I'm associating with noble books, that is the words of noble people, what makes them noble is their integrity. I start to invoke the same. Next, the evolution of this is Satya. It is the association with noble thoughts. From people to books to thoughts, we're internalizing this. In English, ideally. I know that doesn't sound so appropriate, from inclusivity to integrity to ideally, but I like how it sounds still. Ideally, to have noble thoughts, that is an ideal mind. Then, the final evolution of this is to Sat. And Sat is no longer about association with people or books or thoughts. It is awareness, existence, awareness, joy. Satsanga, Sattva, Satya, Sat. Zooming into ideally, when one's personality is directed towards an ideal, this ideal becomes a lighthouse in one's day, in one's week. Visualize this. And this is even in the title, Foundation for One's Life. If you're a ship and you're trying to find your way home, when it's rainy, when it's dark, it is that lighthouse that you follow. It is that lighthouse that offers light, not to get sidetracked, to get crashed into these rocks. That's what an ideal is in our lives. Ideals like compassion and generosity and discipline and so on. Thinking of this psychologically, when I have an ideal in my inner world, it simplifies how I have to make decisions. I become more decisive. Isn't that what we all want, to become more decisive? And how do you know that you have an ideal, you're becoming decisive? The mind becomes quieter. Sharing Satya in one more way. I told you, yamas means don'ts. So Satya has a very high definition of existence, a very low definition of legality, verbal truth. The practical definition for Satya is non-compromising. Non-compromising. You have an ideal and you follow this ideal without compromise. Whatever we input into our bodies, we output also. If you drink lots of water, you're going to output that. If you input a lot of sugar, you're going to output that too. By inputting noble people, that helps us to input noble books, helps us to input noble thoughts, and our output will be the same. This can be the foundation of our lives, and we can be the foundation for the people next to us, like my noisy kids right now. Once again, my appreciation to all of the organizers, all of the speakers, and all of the seekers during this noble celebration. My prayers for everyone to be strong in following their own betterment. Be well. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you very much, respected Acharya Vivekji. The terms that you used are really very technical, but the way you approach them were very simple. I'm sure that it has brought more clarity, and audience will be happy despite of any situation, and that you said is yoga. And the way you mentioned that satsang, noble people around, sattva, noble books, and satya, noble thoughts, together lead us to sat, existence, awareness, and joy. I'm sure that this will inspire people to have higher ideals in life, to follow them, and to create a better world, which is the objective of United Consciousness also. So thank you very much, respected Vivekji. We are so inspired. Thank you.
We thank Acharya Vivekji for his excellent discourse. Thank you so much, Acharya Vivekji. It's my honor to introduce our next esteemed guest, Ms. Sabita Gir from India. She is UN representative at Brahmakumari's World Spiritual University in New York for the past 6 years. Her work is based on understanding that real change begins with a shift in awareness facilitated by a spiritual-based approach called Raj Yoga. Sister Sabita is practicing student and teacher of this art of yoga for over 40 years. She mentors and initiates youth, women and men in many projects related to UN Sustainable Development Goals. She has conducted courses, facilitated workshops and retreats in the Caribbean, UK, India, Middle East and many states across the US. She has been a representative of Brahmakumaris in the US for last 22 years. She is also very passionate about climate change. She feels that her purpose on this earth lies in upholding the principles of truth and non-violence in her life while serving the world to make it a better place to live in. Using peaceful building methods in 110 countries, the Brahmakumaris supported the UN 2030 agenda and the SDGs. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Sabita Gir.
Namaskar. Om Shanti. Greetings of peace. It is indeed my honor, my privilege to be part of this gathering, this event today. And I was asked to talk about dharana. The quality of our life depends upon the quality of our focus. I practice a method of meditation called Raj Yoga meditation. And in Raj Yoga meditation, there are 4 stages. The first stage, which we call initiation, where you're sitting down and doing some breathing and trying to allow your body to relax and to go inward. The second stage is called meditation, where you are beginning to focus on your inner self and allowing the mind to calm down. The third step is called concentration or dharana. And the fourth step is called samadhi or absorption or the seed stage, where you are one with your inner core and with the highest source. And you are totally absorbed in the concentration, in the energy of that one. Now, to be able to get to that point where the mind is totally concentrated, it's not very easy. You may spend hours, days, weeks, months, years, but still you might not be able to. Might or might not. So there is another very important aspect in practicing Raj Yoga, and that is called Karma Yoga. Karma, as you all know, means action. So Karma Yoga means having a concentration, having a connection whilst performing karma. And as you all know, yoga means connection. So whilst we are performing actions, if we stay connected with our inner core, our inner truth, then that energy flows out into the actions we perform. Why I'm mentioning Karma Yoga is because when we sit for meditation and we're trying to calm ourselves down, what are the kind of thoughts that come into our mind? Our mind goes back to the things we saw during the day, the things we heard, the people we meet, the things we said, the words spoken, the kind of exchange and interaction that we had. I may not even be what took place today, but it may be something that happened last week. It may be something that triggered something that happened 10 years ago. And if that thing had a not so pleasant impact on us, it wouldn't be so easy to detach from it and then then focus on my inner core, my peace. It becomes very difficult. And so we really do believe that it is very important to spend time performing quality actions, because the quality of our actions will then determine the quality of our life that we live. And the quality of the actions we perform actually depends on the consciousness I'm having. So if my consciousness is positive or elevated, then it's obvious that the actions I do will also be accordingly. If I buy a yellow car today, it's amazing, right? For the next week or weeks or months, all I'm seeing is a yellow car, because that's in my mind. And all I'll be talking about is that yellow car. So whatever it is we occupy our minds with, our consciousness, what we are conscious of, is what comes through our eyes, our words, our attitude, our actions, and whatever actions and words that we speak and actions that we do, they infiltrate whatever is the activity I'm involved with at that time. So, for instance, if I am aware of myself as a positive being, a being of love, a being of truth, or or a kind person, then whatever actions I'm doing, I will try to uphold that awareness. And even if I'm confronted with an insult or something that is very argumentative, I will hold myself back and I remind myself, no, I'm a being of peace. Let me hold true to that. And I will shift the way I would respond. Likewise, our acharya just before me said he asked one student, what do you want in life? And he said to make money. Many young people think like that. I want to become a millionaire or a billionaire. Okay, so what you going to do with this money? So being a billionaire or a millionaire is not a problem, right? It's an ambition. The important thing is, what is my awareness whilst I am striving to become that millionaire? What are the kinds of activities I'm going to involve myself in to achieve that? That is what Raj Yoga is all about. To help us to make the kind of choices that will guarantee a quality life. To help me to stay focused on that rather than focusing on something that is going to destroy my life or maybe bring complications or some kind of a regret in my life. So today, on this auspicious day, and during this auspicious week, Yoga Week, let us promise ourselves to be mindful of what it is I am focusing on, what I'm choosing to focus on, what I'm choosing to be the aim of my life. Because depending upon the aim, so I will meet the qualifications of that aim. So even if I say I want to be happy, what does happiness mean to me? Right? What do I mean when I say I want to be happy? To own all the luxuries, to be the CEO of the largest company in the world, to be the president of America. No, those things are not wrong or bad. Like I said, how we are planning to get there. And that is what is my dharana. That is what I need to focus on, concentrate on, choose very carefully and very wisely. And to help us do that, some practice of meditation is very important. A daily practice is very necessary to help me to separate the influences that are coming to me from the outside and what I feel to be my truth that is telling me something from the inside. So when I practice meditation, I'm able to see the difference, and so I'm able to make a better choice for my life. Before we end, I would like to invite all of you, all of us, to take a minute in silence to realign with our inner core, our inner truth, be it peace, be it love, be it kindness, compassion, mercy, respect, whatever comes to your heart right now. Align yourself with that and tell yourself, I am. And hold yourself with that thought. I am. Allow yourself to feel that. And now, take a deep breath in and release, and bring your thoughts back to this room. I thank you all very much for this opportunity, and I wish this week and the organization success in everything that you do. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, respected Savita ji. The way you explained Raj Yoga is very inspiring. Initiation, meditation, concentration, and absorption. And the pathway you suggested is Karma Yoga, which brings pure thoughts. And pure thoughts comes because the actions of Karma Yoga, when we do Karma Yoga, are pure. And how do I perform pure action? Because of the elevated consciousness. I'm sure that this message will reach to thousands of people in the long run, and people will follow the path of Karma Yoga and Raj Yoga. So kind of you for inspiring us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Sabita Gir for coming on to the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
देखो इन्हें ये है ओस की बूंदें, पत्तों की गोद में आसमां से कूदे, अंगड़ाई ले फिर करवट बदल कर, नाजुक से मोती हंस दे फिसल कर, खो न जाए तारे ज़मीं पर। ये तो है सर्दी में धूप की किरणें, उतरे जो आंगन को सुनहरा सा करने, मन के अंधेरों को रोशन सा कर दे, ठिठुरती हथेली की रंगत बदल दे, खो न जाएंगे तारे ज़मीं पर।
जैसे आँखों की डिबिया में निंदिया, और निंदिया में मीठा सा सपना, और सपने में मिल जाए फरिश्ता सा कोई, जैसे रंगों भरी पिचकारी, जैसे तितलियां फूलों की क्यारी, जैसे बिना मतलब का प्यारा रिश्ता हो कोई।
ये तो आशा की लहर है, ये तो उम्मीद की सहर है, खुशियों की लहर है, खो न जाए ये तारे ज़मीं पर।
Akshara Kids Academy strives to shape the future of unprivileged and underprivileged kids having urge of learning. Kindly lend your hand too in this yajna.
हरिवरासनम् विश्वमोहनम् हरिदधीश्वरम् आराध्यपादुकम् हरिविमर्दनम् नित्यनर्तनम् हरिहरात्मजम् देव
ദൈവമാശ്രയേ. ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ, ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ. ശരണകീർത്തനം ഭക്തമാനസം ഭരണലോലുപം നർത്തനാലസം അരുണഭാസുരം ഭൂതനായകം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ. ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ, ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ. പ്രണയസത്യകം പ്രാണനായകം പ്രണതകൽപകം സുപ്രഭാഞ്ജിതം പ്രണവമന്ദിരം കീർത്തനപ്രിയം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ. ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ, ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ. തുരഗവാഹനം സുന്ദരാനനം വരഗദായുധം ദേവവർണിതം ഗുരുകൃപാകരം കീർത്തനപ്രിയം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ. ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ, ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ. ത്രിഭുവനാർച്ചിതം ദേവതാത്മകം ത്രിനയനം പ്രഭും ദിവ്യദേശികം ത്രിദശപൂജിതം ചിന്തിതപ്രദം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ. ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ, ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ. ഭവഭയാവഹം ഭാവുകാവഹം ഭുവനമോഹനം ഭൂതിഭൂഷണം ധവളവാഹനം ദിവ്യവാരണം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ. ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ, ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ. കളമൃദുസ്മിതം സുന്ദരാനനം കളഭകോമളം ഗാത്രമോഹനം കളഭകേസരി വാജിവാഹനം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ ശ്രിതജനപ്രിയം ചിന്തിതപ്രദം ശ്രുതിവിഭൂഷണം സാധുജീവനം ശ്രുതിമനോഹരം ഗീതലാലസം ഹരിഹരാത്മജം ദേവമാശ്രയേ ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ സ്വാമി ശരണമയ്യപ്പ
On behalf of United Consciousness, I welcome and introduce our next guest, Ms. Nyamvati. She is an experienced internationally certified yoga teacher with over 1,000 hours teaching experience. She is voted as Kenya's top female yoga professional by the Indian High Commission during International Yoga Day 2020. She has been practicing yoga for over 18 years. She is a founder of the biannual Kelefi Wellness Festival as well as a certified kinesthetic and Reiki therapist with a bachelor's degree in psychology and philosophy. She is also the founder of Yoga Alchemy, a pioneer program combining traditional yogic practices with modern psychotherapy treating depression and anxiety. She uses her skill to create holistic healing and coaching programs and retreats and has been featured as a keynote speaker on global summits such as the Embodiment Conference and World Parliament on Spirituality. Nyamvati teaches in Anglophone East Africa and Francophone West Africa as well as traveling to host retreats and workshops. Her teaching styles include intuitive Vinyasa flow, alignment-based Hatha, office yoga, restorative yoga and yin yoga. Her yoga classes are trauma-informed and incorporate a holistic approach to the 8 limbs of yoga and incorporate breath work, pranayama, meditation, mindfulness, energy work and aromatherapy. Nyamvati's vision is to be a healer and a teacher in service to others, helping transform and restore psychological and physiological well-being through the gift of yoga, psychotherapy and energy works. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Nyamvati.
Hello everybody, I hope you are well today. It is very cold here and it is evening time, so I will be leading you through a 15 minutes yoga session. And for these 15 minutes of yoga, I just want you to get into a very comfortable seated posture. For myself, this is it. But for you, it might be sitting in easy pose with the legs crossed or sitting with the legs straight out in front of you. Whichever pose is good for you, please just get into a comfortable seated position. If you have locked hips or tight hips, you may feel free to use a yoga block to just elevate and sit on it. And once you found yourself in that comfortable seated posture, I welcome you to just gently lower your gaze. So you're looking down at the floor or you're closing your eyes completely. Just take a few deep breaths here. bringing one hand to your heart space and one hand to your belly. I'd like you to take a few deep breaths and just bring your mind back into the present moment and back into full awareness of your body. So inhaling in through the nose and exhaling out through the nose. Inhaling in through the nose and exhaling as well through the nose. 3 more deep breaths in through the nose and exhale. As you take the last 2 breaths, inhaling, feel the spine lengthen, crown of head reach towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, feel the tailbone root down into the mat, into the ground. Last breath in. And last deep breath out through the nose. Very good. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you're probably enjoying a good summer. And so these movements will basically encourage a little bit more production of synovial fluid in the joints, just to allow you to move freely outdoors. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you are in a little bit of a cold weather front like I am, they do the exact same thing and help to warm up the joints as well. So very, very gently, just take your fists and take your hands and make them into loose fists and just start to rotate the wrists a couple of times. If you hear any crackling, popping sounds, then very, very gently move even slower, for it means you need to produce even more synovial fluid. Wonderful. Moving the other way around, from clockwise to anti-clockwise or vice versa. Take some nice deep breaths here, waking up the wrists. It's important to pay attention to the wrists, for we are usually on our phones a lot or on our
Your voice is not coming, Navamati ji. You may need to unmute. You may need to unmute. Your voice is not coming.
Is that okay
Thank
now?
you. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right. All right, great. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Let us begin again. And so from here, for those who were following me but couldn't hear me, it's just literally doing a little bit of a grounding exercise where you're feeling the root of the tailbone going down into the mat and feeling the crown of the head lifting up towards the sky. Okay? And as you do this, I'd like you to now very gently start rolling the hips, rolling into the hips with the rest of the body in circles. Very, very gentle circles. Wonderful. And then switch your direction with your rolls. Excellent. And come back to a nice straight posture. And from here, make your hands into loose fists and make some rotations, very slow rotations. So I've mentioned before that it is important to be mindful of the risks, especially with our lifestyle today, where we spend a lot of time on our phones. We spend a lot of time typing away on our computers or our laptops. And so this encourages the production of synovial fluid in through the joints. If you hear any crackling, popping sounds, move slower. Well done. Switch direction with your rotations. Excellent. And now allow the hands to come back to stillness. Loosen the wrists and shake the hands out. Very good. And from this position, I welcome you to come onto your hands and knees. And from hands and knees, you're just going to find your symmetry. So going into what we call tabletop posture, making sure that the knees have about hip width distance between them. You can use 2 fists to measure this. And then the palms are flat underneath the shoulders in a straight line. Take your left leg, lift it back and straighten it and hold it there. A few isometric exercises here, strengthening the core. And just further charging the joints of the arms, the knees, the ankles, the hips. And now take your right hand and lift it forward if you feel centered and balanced. There you go. And now release, bring hand down, bring leg back down. Other side, I'm going to straighten out that left leg. Very good. And from straightening left leg, we straighten out the left arm. Breathe. These postures look easy, but they're not. You're fighting gravity as you extend the limbs forward and back. And release. Arm comes down, knee comes down. Now, if you are on a thin mat and you have sensitive knees, I welcome you to double mat it or just kind of make a seam with the mat to allow the knees extra cushion. You're going to come all the way up onto your knees. Keep them hip width distance so there is a separation between them. Bring your hands behind you, fingers pointed down, thumbs on the side of the waist, and slowly bend backwards. A light variation of camel pose. If you've got no back injury, you're welcome to then stretch out the right hand up towards the ceiling. And then maybe circle it all the way back down behind you. If you can find your heel, then grab hold onto your heel. And release that right hand, bring it back up towards the ceiling and back to your lower back. The other side, lifting up left arm up towards the ceiling and then rotating it all the way back towards your heel. And maybe you come and hold your heel. If you're holding your heel, now release, bring the arm, circle it back up and back to supporting your lower back. And release. Very good. Cross your thumbs, raise your arms. And on an exhale, separate your thumbs, bring the hands all the way back down. From there, left leg straightens out again behind you. Right arm forward. Now I'd like you to bring your right elbow and left knee together. Slowly bend, bring them together, straighten them out 3 times. As you bring them together, you exhale. As you lengthen, you inhale. Exhaling and inhaling. Wonderful. And release. Doing the same on the other side. Straighten out right leg. Straighten out left arm. Bring knee and elbow together with an exhale. With an inhale, straighten out. With an exhale, bend the knees in. Inhale, straighten out. Exhale, bend the knees in. Inhale, straighten out. And last one. Excellent. Bring the hand down, bring the knees down. Excellent. And then tuck your toes, and we're going to lift up into down dog. So very gently, lifting the hips up and allowing your head to relax. You can keep your knees slightly bent here. Spreading fingers wide. And then release. Bring the knees all the way back down. Untap the toes, lift the arms up. And arms go as far back as you can. Again, if you have back injuries, just stay upright. Do not go into the back bend. And release. Bring the arms back down. Wonderful. And in this tabletop position, we're going to do a few neck rolls. So very, very gently start to rotate the neck. Going once, going twice, 3 times, 4 times, and last one, 5 times. Wonderful. Other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Excellent. And then from here, come back to easy pose where you sit in a cross-legged manner. Nice and easy. If this is not accessible to you, sit however is comfortable. And from here, make your hands into fists, loose fists. You're going to bring them to the side of the body. And then you're going to use your arm strength to very gently lift your glutes off the ground and come back down. Okay, let's do that together 4 more times. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come down. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come down. Inhale, lift. Exhale down. And last one, inhale, lift. And exhale down. Bring right hand down to the mat on your side. And then bring left arm up. As you bring the arm up, I want you to bend the elbow, lightly touch the side of your head. And then straighten out that right arm, slowly stretching the side of that left waist. If you want a deeper stretch, you can turn your gaze up towards the ceiling or up towards the sky if you're outside. And then release by gently bringing the gaze back forward and slowly coming back upright, releasing. Last posture, bringing your hands to the other side. Left arm down and just slide it on the mat. Left arm rises all the way up, bending it at the elbow, lightly touch the side of the head. Bend that bottom elbow or slide the arm as far as you can. Keep that right elbow pointed up at the ceiling or sky and deepen the intensity of this stretch, this waist side body stretch by gazing up. You can release it now by gazing forward, slowly coming back upright. And then bringing the arms back into a peaceful posture on your knees. Take a few deep breaths here as we wind down, feeling yourself rooted into your body, breathing gently but deeply. As you breathe in, you feel the breath going up the crown of the head towards the sky. And as you breathe out, you feel the breath rooting down through the tailbone into the ground. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Wonderful. Thank you for practicing with me, and I wish to see you all again soon. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy being back in your body. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Nyamvati ji, for an excellent yoga demonstration. I'm sure that people will follow it and get benefited. Thank you very much. Looking forward to meeting you. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Swami Narasimhananda is a monk of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission founded by Swami Vivekananda in 1897 and is presently the secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission Sevashram, Kozhikode, Kerala. He runs a higher secondary school, a kindergarten, and a polyclinic. He is a former editor of the Prabuddha Bharata, an English monthly journal of the humanities and social sciences started by Swami Vivekananda in 1896. He has edited a volume of Swami Vivekananda's teachings titled Vivekananda Reader. He specializes in Indian studies, Indian philosophy, sociology of religion, philosophy of religion, and religious studies. He is a member of the International Interdisciplinary and Interreligious Research Group on Conscious Studies, UNESCO Chair in Bioethics and Human Rights, Pontifical Athenaeum, Regina Apostolorum, Roma, Italy. He is editor and executive council member of HNet Humanities and Social Sciences Online. He is also a member of the editorial board of American Academy of Religions online publication Reading Religion. He has publications in Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Malayalam, Bengali, and Tamil.
Why?
Namaste. A very good evening to all of you. The topic today is taken from the 33rd Sutra of the first chapter of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And this sutra gives a roadmap to living a peaceful life. It says, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Apunya Vishayanam Bhavanataha Chitta Prasadanam. The idea is a person should develop a kind of attitude which would help a person to be not in difference with other people, in distinction with other people, but to be in identity with other people, to be able to be feeling the same what the other people feel. We have mental disturbances when we are unable to meet with the other people on their level, when we are unable to bear what other people say to us or how they behave. And in this sutra, Maharshi Patanjali says, Maitri. So a person who is in sukha or happiness, one should develop a feeling of friendliness. We should have feeling of friendliness. The idea being, normally it is possible that if someone is happy and if at that moment we are not happy, then we might be jealous of the other person. We might be envious of the other person. We might also be annoyed that while I am unhappy, that other person is happy. So Maharshi Patanjali says that it is better to develop a feeling of friendship, friendliness, maitri, so that we don't feel that this person's happiness is something strange. We also feel happy. And Swami Vivekananda understands this sutra in a different light. He says that we should have what in Sanskrita is called Saha Anubhuti. We should have feelings as the other people have. We should feel with the other. And that, if that is what we do, then when others are happy, we will be happy. When others are suffering, then when they have dukkha, then we will have karuna. Karuna, not just sympathy, but the correct translation of the word karuna would be empathy. We would feel the misery. So it will be sahanubhuti. We will feel what the other person feels. So we would not be insensitive. Most of the problems faced by people in today's society is because people are insensitive to the different temperaments and different needs and different sensibilities which different people belonging to different linguistic cultures, nationalities, different ethnic boundaries, different financial status, all these differences have different kind of people and also different kind of sensibilities. Once we try to, or when we can appreciate these differences, then it becomes easier for us to coexist or live or flourish with the other person. So karuna, empathy of the empathetic of the suffering which the other person has. And mudita, a person should be happy or should be drawn towards people who are virtuous. Punya, people who are virtuous. So people who have the qualities which we need to imbibe in ourselves, we need to be having their company. We should have a pleasant attitude towards these people. And so that will lead us to their company. Having good company, we would also eventually inculcate those virtues. And so we will also get rid of bad qualities, bad habits, and bad kind of wrong negative attitudes. So that is where karuna comes in. And the final and very important message of this sutra is upeksha. Often we are faced with people whom we know are positively harmful. They are negative people and they spread this negativity around them. How to deal with this type of people? That is a big question we have, and it's a big problem. And this negativity could also come in our mind. We could be facing some problems, we could be facing some failures, and these negative thoughts could come into our mind. So how do we face them? And then again we have this solution, upeksha means indifference. Indifference means do not give attention to that. Indifference, be indifferent to it. So upeksha, to what? Apunya, people who are positively bad, wicked people. VICE, wise people. So we need to be indifferent to them. All bad qualities, we need to be indifferent to them. All bad, negative situations which take us away from peace of mind, situations which make our minds turbulent, we should be indifferent to them. So we should not be embroiled in the situation. We should not get involved in the situation. We should be away from them. We should be indifferent to them. We should insulate ourselves, protect ourselves from such negative scenario, negative influences, and that is upeksha. This indifference is very important. It is like insulation of an electric wire. Interestingly, in our brain also, there is a sheath, a covering for every nerve so that no short circuit takes place. Similarly, if we could have a system of indifference, a system which supports our emotional self, supports our feelings, supports our psychological self, it does not allow us us to be hurt, just like a warrior will have some guard over the chest, etc. In modern times, just like a person who may be in the armed forces or some other forces of security might wear a bulletproof jacket. Similarly, we should have this upeksha indifference, or to put it in a colloquial expression, having a thick skin. It helps because we are insulated by the small tidbits of injury, hurt, which we get. And we are bound to get them because the world is ruthless and it will give us hurts. But if we insulate ourselves, and how do we insulate ourselves? We have the other three qualities, that is Maitri, Karuna, and Mudita. So, Maitri, friendship with people who have a pleasurable disposition, who are enjoying things, and then Karuna, empathy, feeling with people who are suffering, who are in misery, and Mudita, feeling happy in the company of people who possess virtues, who are virtuous, who are good people basically. These ideas, these kind of bhavanatah, this has to be inculcated. So when we inculcate over a period of time, when we make this our second nature, then we always have chitta prasadanam. Our chitta, our mind gets peaceful, because there is nothing to create turmoil in our mind. There is nothing to disturb our mind because we are at peace. So the bad qualities like envy, hurt, anger, and then greed, lust, egotism, all these qualities will go away when we try to connect with the other person. When we try to connect with the other person. So here the key element is connecting with the other person, not finding any scope for disturbing our mind because of the other person. And that is why this sutra has been variously termed as the path to a peaceful life. Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi, the consort of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, we know who was the guru of Swami Vivekananda. Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, she said that in this world, no one is your stranger. So if you need peace, do not find fault with others. Find instead your own faults. And no one is a stranger in this world. Everyone is your own. So that is the way to find peace. If you want to find peace, in fact, Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi was just putting it in a different language, the same message which Patanjali had given thousands of years ago, millennia ago. So if you want to find peace, it is better to become one with the other, the person whom we try to find differences with. The idea of peace or the experience of peace comes only when we unite with the other person, when we become one with the other person. And that's why infants and children, they are able to be more peaceful than adults because they have not yet discovered or understood causes for finding difference with the other person. When a person gets educated or so-called education, a person is trained and given different tools to find differences with the other, and so the person's misery increases. So the goal is to be one with the other, to have the feeling of sahanubhuti, and that would be a great message to imbibe on this occasion, when we are celebrating the Yoga Week under the aegis of United Consciousness International, and I am grateful that United Consciousness International has invited me for this event. And I believe that more and more people would imbibe the holistic wisdom of yoga, not just the physical aspect, but also the psychological and the intellectual, and also uppermost, the spiritual aspect of yoga. The spiritual aspect being to go beyond all kinds of suffering by controlling thoughts in the mind. That is the goal of yoga, as Maharshi Patanjali says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So all the vrittis, or the disturbances, thoughts in the mind, have to be restrained, nirodha. And once that happens completely, one attains to the state of yoga, which is a state which we need to attain, which we need to have to live in this world. I am reminded of Swami Ranganathanandaji's statement that just like our body, physical body, has what is called homeostasis. In warm-blooded people, human beings are warm-blooded animals. So when we have cold outside, when the weather is cold, we shiver, producing warmth. Similarly, when the weather is hot, we sweat, producing cold. So we maintain a minimum set of optimum temperature and other conditions in our body, and that is called homeostasis. So our mind should also have similar homeostasis. And I hope this United Consciousness International's effort at celebrating Yoga Week would enable many of us to attain that state. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you very much, respected Swamiji. And the attitude you talked about of Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha, as you mentioned, that it brings Sahanubhuti, and the result of this is Chitta Prasadanam. I'm sure the message will reach to the audience and they will inculcate this attitude in themselves to create a better world. Thank you very much, Swamiji.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Swami Narasimhananda for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
In the ancient text of Taittiriya Upanishad, personality is said to be composed of 5 aspects. These are called the Panchakoshas. Yoga helps in developing positive traits in each of these 5 aspects, leading self-actualizations. Let's further inquire about how yoga helps in developing personality by the experts in the panel discussion on the topic Yoga and Personality Development. In this panel, we are privileged to introduce Mr. Stephen Ivanovic. He is a yoga instructor, student of specialist studies at the Faculty of Sports and Physical Education, co-founder and president of Center for Souls and Body in Nexek. From his early teens, he enrolled himself at the International Yoga Academy for the training of yoga instructors at Belgrade. Together with his family in 2014, he founded the Center for Soul and Body. With his elevated mission, he cooperates with many experts in the field of personal growth and development and provides people with comprehensive support in finding personal balance and development. He is currently enrolled in education to become certified personal trainer in the National Academy of Sports Medicine organization from United States of America. His interests include yoga education, psychology, human resources, business and entrepreneurship, event management, and many more. He has presented many papers in national and international conferences on dermatology and oncology research, and also invited by many nations as guest speakers such as Indonesia, London, US, Germany, Israel, and many more. He has been awarded many awards like Excellent Service Award by Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad, Ayush Kamal Bhushan Award, Healers of India Award, etc. I feel delighted to invite Ms. Aishwarya Devi, who is an experienced dancer, choreographer, the founder of Yoga Dance System, and one of the first yoga teacher in Greece. In 1987, she founded the Ballet School in Athens. In 2005, she founded new school in Athens by the name of Raj Yoga Anahata Center of Art, where she continues teaching different kinds of yoga. She has been greatly inspired and spiritually enlightened by the teachings of Paramhansa Satyananda, Master Kao Koksui, Pandit Shri Ram Sharma Acharya, Mataji and others. While being the creator of the yoga dance system, she has been invited to many international festivals. In 2012, she presented her system at the International Yoga Festival in Portugal. In 2013, she presented Yoga, Culture and Spirituality in International Festival from Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya University in Haridwar, India. She has made various presentations and speeches in Greek, television, radio, magazine. Speaking on all the yoga matters, she has worked wholeheartedly for the betterment of our society and the elevation of the human spirit. Nowadays, she is making efforts to transmit the global message of compassion, love, and communication to the whole world, to people who seek to understand their own lives and their inner self, regardless of gender or religion. On behalf of United Consciousness, I welcome and introduce our next guest, Ms. Nyamvati. She is an experienced internationally certified yoga teacher with over 1,000 hours teaching experience. She is voted as Kenya's top female yoga professional by the Indian High Commission during International Yoga Day 2020. She has been practicing yoga for over 18 years. She is a founder of the biannual Kelefi Wellness Festival as well as a certified kinesthetic and Reiki therapist with a bachelor's degree in psychology and philosophy. She is also the founder of Yoga Alchemy, a pioneer program combining traditional yogic practices with modern psychotherapy treating depression and anxiety. She uses her skill to create holistic healing and coaching programs and retreats and has been featured as a keynote speaker on global summits such as the Embodiment Conference and World Parliament on Spirituality. Nyamvati teaches in Anglophone East Africa and Francophone West Africa, as well as traveling to host retreats and workshops. Her teaching styles include intuitive Vinyasa flow, alignment-based Hatha, office yoga, restorative yoga, and yin yoga. Her yoga classes are trauma-informed and incorporate a holistic approach to the 8 limbs of yoga and incorporate breath work, pranayama, meditation, mindfulness, energy work, and aromatherapy. Nyamvati's vision is to be a healer and a teacher in service to others, helping transform and restore psychological and physiological well-being through the gift of yoga, psychotherapy, and energy works. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Nyamvati.
Swami Narasimhananda is a monk of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission founded by Swami Vivekananda in 1897 and is presently the secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission Sevashram, Kozhikode, Kerala. He runs a higher secondary school, a kindergarten, and a polyclinic. He is a former editor of the Prabuddha Bharata, an English monthly journal of the humanities and social sciences started by Swami Vivekananda in 1896. He has edited a volume of Swami Vivekananda's teachings titled Vivekananda Reader. He specializes in Indian studies, Indian philosophy, sociology of religion, philosophy of religion, and religious studies. He is a member of the International Interdisciplinary and Interreligious Research Group on Conscious Studies, UNESCO Chair in Bioethics and Human Rights, Pontifical Athenaeum, Regina Apostolorum, Roma, Italy. He is editor and Executive Council member of HNet Humanities and Social Sciences Online. He is also a member of the editorial board of American Academy of Religions online publication Reading Religion. He has publications in Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Malayalam, Bengali, and Tamil.
Today's panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Vikrant Singh Tobar, Convener United Consciousness. Dr. Tomar is an acknowledged trainer, academician, scholar, writer, and a management consultant. He's a freelance trainer and served the cabinet ministers of state, MLAs, police officers, and tycoons of the business world. His aim and objective is universal brotherhood and happiness through harmonizing the knowledge from the ancient scriptures into our lives. So I welcome all our guests for panel discussion.
I acknowledge your presence, I acknowledge your presence, Swami Narasimhananda ji. We acknowledge your presence, Aishwarya Devi ji, and we acknowledge your presence, Nyamvati ji. And dear audience who are watching us from different parts of the world, we are going to discuss, we are going to have a panel discussion on the topic yoga and personality development. When we are born as a human, we are born with lots of possibilities to rise in consciousness, from plant consciousness to animal consciousness, from animal consciousness to human consciousness, and from human consciousness to divine consciousness. But what should be the path, and how yoga can contribute in developing our personality, our consciousness further? So I would like to start my question from Aishwarya Devi ji from Greece. Aishwarya Devi ji, lots of people wants to develop their personality. We have youth who are watching this program today. We have people of different age groups. How do you define personality development? What do we mean it? When I say yogic way to personality development, what do we mean by developing personality?
Hari Om Tat Sat. I have the privilege to be with such great panelists and also with you, Dr. Vikrant. I'm very glad. Let's start with this because your questions they need a lot of discussion and a lot of analyzing. And you know, in this
I request,
world,
I request that guests who are not speaking, they may mute themselves. It will avoid any dissonance. Guests who are not speaking, please mute. Perfect. Carry on. Aishwarya ji, please.
So there are so many dimensions of personality, and that, of course, if you're asking me for the actionable tips of a personality development, I will start straight away with some values that we should have as persons in this life, as humans. First, for accumulating the better personality, the tip, we need first to the humility. We need to be to use the humility as because we are suffering from the ego, and ego for nowadays is a stone in life on earth. So we have to break down our ego emotions, our ego wills. We have to understand that the ego accumulation for things that we want and not caring about the others, it's great tip for changing the personality in the yogic life. But how we can show to people what is the yogic life. So we have to be the example. So we have to understand that the ego, as Swamiji, he was talking before, separate us from each other. So we have to understand that nothing is permanent. Nothing belongs to us. Nothing is possible to carry on the other side. Great Pythagoras used to teach his disciples that the only thing that someone is carrying on after his death It is the spirit, the culture of the spirit, the cultivated mind, the spirit with the higher habits, the higher experiences. So the quality of beliefs and the way of the life that he had created. This is the only thing that we carry on to the other side. So
Thank you very
the
much.
tip is, as we understand, the great stone of ego.
Thank you. Thank you. So Aishwarya Devi ji mentioned that personality development yogic way means reducing, eliminating the ego, increasing humility, and seeing the impermanence of the world and seeing the permanence of spirit, Atman or Brahman. This is what is the yogic definition of personality development. Stephen G, would like to know your reflections on that. What is personality development yogic perspective?
Thank you, Dr. Vikrant. So you mentioned something really important in the beginning, and that is that we are actually born with such a huge opportunities. And there is that one theory about tabula rasa, the empty board. So I believe that we are all born with a different type of board, different shape or different material, different structure, all in all. But it is our choice what do we want to write on that board. So whether we want to go towards spirituality or towards crime or towards something which is just making us successful in the terms of success, not in the terms of business, but in the terms of actually personality, as it is. So it is up to us. If you choose yoga, definitely as one of the tools, we're going to improve a lot more because we're going to be more self-conscious about how the actual board looks like. Are we going to write a letter over the letter, or are we going to write like proper sentences with good handwriting? So like they're just to use the allegory of like we can use a lot of different things through yoga. It can actually help us to go inside, to go within, to understand what is our board looking like and how many letters can we fit, like how big of letters, what kind of letters, and do we want those letters to be able to be read by everybody or just by ourselves? And that is what I think about it. As simple as that.
Nice. Stephen G mentioned that we all are born with an empty board, and what do we write is a choice. Choose yoga so that you choose right. So I will go to Nyamvati ji. Nyamvati ji, Aishwarya Devi mentioned that personality development yogic way means eliminating and reducing ego. But ego is my identity. Whatever I add after this, I am, everything is ego. I am Vikrant, I am Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, I am an Indian, I am an Kenyan, I am teacher, I am researcher. Everything is ego. So how can I eliminate or reduce ego? If I want to develop my personality, yogic way, how to reduce ego yogic way? Nyamvatiji. Please unmute and speak. Yep.
From what I've found, yes, I believe I'm unmuted. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I'm really humbled to be among such great panelists. Now, my perspective comes from both being a yogi and being a psychologist. And that is to, as Mr. Stefan said before me, rewrite your story. We are all born with different circumstances and we're all born in different environments. And so the yogic way teaches you to surrender and release attachments to these stories that we create, that we attach to. However, what I've found is a little bit of an equal balance between both the yogic way and the dare I say, human way as a therapist. I work part of my yogic work is with rehabilitating refugee girls, and what I found is in us practicing weekly with yoga, they're literal personalities have changed. Some of them moved from being very timid and very shy and being very repressed due to a lot of violence and trauma that they've experienced in their lives, to being more assertive and more curious about who they are and starting to develop that. While others move from being very loud and attention seeking back to being a little bit more humble and more with more humility because of the meditative aspect. And so my viewpoint looking at both of these is, how do you bring a nice harmony within yourself to make sure that you are actually adding value to the society around you, to yourself, and to the quality of your life and to the quality of others around you.
Thank you. So Namvati ji said that two tools can be surrender and detach. She mentioned that life gives experience, yoga gives explanation to it. And that's why by understanding it in right perspective, you can generate harmony with self, and that may create harmony with others also. Swami Narsimhanandaji would like to ask from you also the same question. Aishwarya Devi ji has rightly pointed out that meaning of personality development is going beyond your ego, limited identities. But is it that easy? Every moment I am surrounded by this ego. And Nyamvati ji said, surrender. How can I surrender this ego? This is who am I. At least this is what I believe in. How should I go about it?
Thank you for the question, Vikrant. Yoga, the system of yoga as envisaged by Patanjali Maharshi. Here, the idea is, what do you believe defines you? If you believe that the body defines you, control the body, take control of the body. If you believe that prana, that is the vital breath, defines you, take control of prana. If you believe mind defines you, take control of mind, intellect, and so on. So the Pancha Koshas, which were referred to in the beginning of this panel discussion, a person's real personality, even according to yoga philosophy, is beyond these koshas. Though koshas are referred to more in the context of Advaita Vedanta, but still, a person's personality is beyond these koshas. Now one has to decide what at a particular point in time. As you said, it is not so easy to straight away think that I am Atman or I am someone else, I'm the Purusha, as a yogic philosopher would do. But at a given point in time, what do you think you are? If you think you are the body, then how to completely master the body? Yoga, as envisaged or as thought of, as envisioned by Maharshi Patanjali, does not give you piecemeal solution. So control means a yogi properly trained in yoga can actually control one's heartbeat, those movements of our body, which, because we have accounts of that, even today there are very few people, but there are people who can do that. So yoga gives you power over the body. Now if you want to go one more step, we all know pranayama literally means control of prana. So if you think you are prana, control it. I'm reminded of the Upanishadic statement which says, Apnoti Swarajyam Vakpati Manusaspati Chakshuspati, etc. So the Rishi is saying, of the Upanishad, the Rishi is saying that I take control of my dominion, my domain, Swarajyam, my kingdom. And so what is the kingdom of any use? What is use of any kingdom if I have no control over it? The problem with us is, even if I believe that I am the body, I am only having a superficial control over it. I go to the beauty parlor, kind of do or put some deodorant. I don't have complete control. So this complete mastery over each level of your personality, and eventually transcending these coverings and understanding that you are the Purusha, that is what yoga gives you. So it defines you wherever you are, at whatever level you are. And that is a big blessing in the form of yoga.
Thank you. Swamiji mentioned that there are 5 koshas and control each kosha, and then you'll be able to transcend. Probably, as somebody said, that my life appears to me as a big obstacle race, in which me being the biggest obstacle. So, Swamiji said that these are the 5 obstacles, jump them one after another, and finally, where you'll reach is your Swabhava, as Yog Sutram says. But Aishwarya Devi ji, is how I can jump over these koshas, because this is what I think I am. So, what is your take in developing my personality and minimizing the ego? What can be the modalities we can use?
Um, I think in the yogic words, it's the drasta. So in our words, is the detective. It's like we are becoming Sherlock Holmes, like we are becoming James Bond to follow ourselves. So, what is this drasta? What is this a person? I mean, ourselves. We have to find to look after, to follow our thoughts, to start following the thoughts, the emotions, the expressions, and by starting following and observing our emotions and feelings and expressions, then we will start knowing better for ourselves. So, what else can have a person step in life if it's not to understand and to start in a lot of silence, and also in the contributing life, everyday life, to understand what is going on with himself. So I think that the drasta, the one that starts to mark every thought and every emotion, it starts to make a step towards that you're asking me.
Thank you. Aishwarya Devi ji said that if you really want to master self, as Swamiji mentioned, that we need to master self, she said start with drasha bhav. If you really want to evolve, just witness those thoughts, emotions, and then you'll start developing that witness sakshi bhav. They will stop controlling you. When an emotion comes, just witness it. Stephen G, you said that we need to choose what I want to write. People are watching us from different parts of the world. Tell them what to write on this empty board.
I'm not the one who will tell them what to write. They are the ones who need to discover themselves. That's the path of yoga. So when you go along the path of yoga, you're going to actually start to explore yourself, as Aishwarya said, like the emotions. So you need to explore your emotions, to understand your emotions, to observe them, and not attach to them. No matter is it like a positive or negative one, while we're just observants of those actionable things, when we see what are they producing inside of us in the body sense. That's why, like we have to do asanas in order to actually break down through some blockades in order to deal with some of the emotions. We are not ready immediately to deal with the emotions. So therefore, let's go back to the question. There is no way me or anybody else can tell anybody as an individual to tell what should they write. We can only teach them how to write. And it's up to them what do they want to write, when do they want to write, and how do they want to write.
Perfect. Stephen G said that it's your journey, it's your level of elevation. You should ask right questions. Am I my thoughts only? Am I my emotions only? And once you start observing my thoughts, emotions, am I my body only? Do experiments, and then probably, as Swamiji mentioned, you may transcend from there. Namvati ji, you mentioned about surrender. Is it that easy to surrender? Rather, when in common definition, if I surrender, I am a person of poor personality. That's why I surrender in relationship. I surrender in my job. I surrender to the situations. So people may call me that I am poor personality. How should I surrender then?
Surrender for me is really about learning the meaning of the word trust. And trust is the complete opposite of control, which is usually the um, mode operandi that we are in our everyday lives usually. And one of the greatest gifts that yoga has given me in my personal journey, and I see given any student or client that I teach, is to understand what trust really is, to understand how to just trust that first, if you believe in spirit, that spirit has your back. That spirit is coordinating things for your highest good. To trust that life will unfold in a way that supports you. To trust yourself, especially when it comes to making decisions and connecting to your intuition and to your inner guidance. That for me is how one can surrender. It is not easy because we are raised in a way where we are told you need to control others, you need to control the environment. We as a human species are about control, which is why the planet is in such disarray. We cut down trees and build skyscrapers. We take trees and we've made agriculture. We've controlled or tried to control nature. So by our dominating essence, we want to control that which is external to us versus trying to control what is internal, which is then working on trust. So
Thank you.
my advice to people would be learn trust and start to practice it on a daily basis through meditation, through following your inner guidance.
Thank you. Namati ji said that, as they say, that poor and weak people battle with others' ego, and great people battle with their own ego. They battle within, and she said that all experiences are for our own evolution. So instead of fighting with them, let's surrender to the bigger plan. Everything, whatever is happening for your bigger good. Once you have this trust, surrender will become obvious and automatic. Swamiji, people watching us, what can be immediately executionable tips you would like to give them? Very practical tips to develop their personality yogic way.
Maharshi Patanjali already gives very practical tips, but I would like to point out a very important thing, particularly in today's context, that comes in the second chapter, 33rd Sutra, Vitarka Badane Pratipaksha Bhavanam. What does it mean? It means when you are fighting, as Nyamatji said, it's all about the internal battle. When you are fighting with, you are struggling with something, some negative thought, something which you are able to, for example, jealousy, you are unable to get out of it. Develop the opposite thought, develop love. When you're fighting with hatred, develop love. It's such a practical wisdom in that formula or sutra or aphorism that Patanjali has given. He has given similar wisdom for almost everything. But this is so nice. Suppose I am fighting with, say, an addiction. So people have different kinds of addiction today. Internet addiction is a very great reality today. So if I'm fighting with internet addiction, that means let me get addicted to something else which is more better. Let me get addicted to serving people. You know, Sri Ramakrishna actually points this. If you have a weakness, turn it towards God, he says. Direct it towards God. So here also the same thing. So if I am having greed, let me cultivate the opposite of greed, that is giving up things for the other people, giving up material possessions. So this one small exercise compared with another, again, humility in terms of spiritual practice, most often we try to do things all at once, and not knowing or not appreciating our limitations. So doing it in small, steps, baby steps. If we can do this, vitarka
Mhm,
badane pratipaksha bhavanam, we try
mhm,
to counter a particular negative thought by
mhm.
putting positive thought, what we can call in the language of psychology positive reinforcement. We try to do that, and that would be a very good way to. So if I am now not getting up early in the morning, say I am getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I start with 8:30, then I go to 8 o'clock, then 7 o'clock, like that, in small steps, day by day. If I do, it will be very easy to implement these methods and change our personality.
Thank you very much. Aishwarya Deviji, what do you think is the practical steps would you like to suggest to the people to develop personality? Anything that they can start doing from tomorrow? Your
I
voice is
think
not.
that they have first to have faith. My voice is okay
Yes,
now?
yes, yes.
I think that for changing the era of our personality, step one is sleep. Learning how to sleep, how to love the Surya, that is the great father, the light father. Sorry for my English, because I said that in Greece we are not using English every day. So
That's
I'm not so
perfectly fine.
practicing English language. So I
That's
wanted
perfect.
to say more, but words doesn't come now. Anyway,
It happens.
so for me, because the Surya, the sun, is producing to our physical body the chemistry, our fluid. Everything is changing because the sun is up. So the first step is how to find when to wake up, the sleep, and when to sleep. This is what I believe. The second one is to find, to understand what is the elements that we are made of. So in our hands, in our fingers, there are the 5 elements that we're using, and we have to understand that the body and our psychological and mentally and pranic body and physical body is made of this, and all the world is made of these 5 elements, like water, the earth, the air, the ether, and the fire. So this symbol is very important concerning towards our food, our sleep, and then we will see how this liquid, this chemistry liquid, is changing. Exercise then is asanas or whatever you do by exercising the body. So this chemistry is changing the sense of feeling happy, feeling positive towards people, feeling like kind. And the most of all also is to feel gratitude that we are alive and that we can have a heart to communicate towards everybody. So this is very small but very important steps that we have to carry on.
So, thank you very much. Stephen G, what practical tips you would like to give to the audience if they want to develop themselves? What actions they should take, yogic way?
I'm gonna be again really simple. So try to find what works for you the best and stick to it. Do not give up. But I would actually just say one thing: start right now, because if you wait for tomorrow, it's gonna become like a month or a year. Whatever you feel that it's working for you, however you feel that it's working for you, that's the only way that you can actually stick to some what is it called, like, I'm now having the issue so to remember the word in English, habit. So whatever helps you keep and sticking to the habit, something which is motivating you, just use that as a tool. I know some people who have been going to my yoga classes just for the physical bit for 5 years, and after 5 years they said, oh, I finally understand now why do we breathe how we breathe. I was like, okay, it took only 5 years.
Thank you very much. So finally, Nyamvati ji, quick 1 or 2 tips that you would like to give, very practical, immediately executionable.
Most importantly, pay attention to your thoughts, because it is from your thoughts that the actions, the behaviors, the habits form. And if you are walking around without knowing what is driving you in here, then you are at the mercy of these things called thoughts. So pay attention, use your yoga classes, use your yoga practice as a tool to just discover, but what are the quality of my thoughts? Are they helpful or are they harmful? And if they are harmful, choose to replace them with the helpful thoughts, with the positive thoughts, with thoughts that are a little bit more empathetic, with thoughts that are a little bit more compassionate. Yes.
Thank you very much. So we friends who are watching us from different parts of the world, we had a beautiful panel discussion on yoga and personality development. Aishwarya Devi started the discussion saying this, that the meaning of personality development in yoga is removing your ego, remove the labels that you have and realize your true spirit within you. And how to do that? Stephen G said that we all are born with the empty board. We may have been incarnated many times before, but we are not conscious about it. And every birth is a great opportunity that we choose to write what we want to write in this birth. Nyamvati ji said, write surrender, detachment. Life gives experiences, yoga gives explanation, and this is how you can harmonize it. Swamiji said that your beliefs makes you. So whatever you write, whatever you believe in, this is what you are going to be. This is what you're going to become. And he mentioned, start with controlling your all shields. Body by asanas, energy by pranayama, mind by pratyahara, intelligence by dharana. And this is how you may probably go shield by shield and control it. Aishwarya Devi ji said that one another method through which you can control is develop a sakshi bhava. That I am not my mind and body, just witness it. That's the moment we begin with it, they will stop controlling you at least, and then you may be in control. She mentioned that have faith. Develop a yogic routine, rise up in time, sleep in time, connect with the sun. As we have been like this, balance your 5 elements, do asanas and have a gratitude. Stephen G mentioned, nobody will give you answers. All answers are within. Ask right questions. You will get right answers. And then what are the right questions? He said, start self-discovery. Am I my emotions? Am I my thoughts? Am I my body? And this will take you to either inner journey, and whatever answer works for you, whatever technique works for you, repeat it again and again till it becomes a sanskara, a habit. And he said, the best time to start is today, because tomorrow never comes. Nyamvati ji said that surrender will happen when there is trust, and trust will happen when you see the bigger scheme of affairs, that everything is happening for my good. Instead of battling with others' ego, let's start battling with our own ego. All experiences are for evolution. One technique Swamiji also added, that whenever you get a weakening thought, a harmful thought, develop pratipaksha bhavana, a counter thought, which is helpful for hate, love, for hurt, blessings, for greed, giving up. Turn, as Paramhansa mentioned, turn your weaknesses towards God. And Swamiji said, starts baby steps. Start now, Stephen G said. Develop baby steps, Swamiji said. Remove your ego, Aishwarya ji said. And surrender, Nyamvati ji said. I'm sure these may be the keywords of today's panel discussion. It must have inspired you as it has inspired me. Thank you very much. Thank you. So kind.
I feel delighted to welcome and introduce our next guest, whose guiding force is self-realization and service to humanity. She is Didi Ananda Sadhana. She was born in Netherlands and trained as a yogic nun with Ananda Marga in 1979. Since 1980, she has worked in Thailand, United States, Nicaragua, Argentina, and is currently working in Venezuela, teaching meditation, yoga, and running educational service projects. She is dedicated to the physical, mental, and spiritual awakening and liberation of all women. In Caracas, she feeds the homeless and runs a holistic health center. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Didi Ananda Sadhana.
Namaskar.
So your camera is not visible. You're not visible, Didi Anand Sadhana ji. Can you switch on the camera maybe?
I should be visible. I'm visible here.
Assure that there is nothing in front of your camera because what we see is blank screen, blank screen.
I don't understand why, because I can see myself quite clear here.
Okay, fine. Okay, probably this is more important that you can see yourself, but we will be blessed by your voice. That's perfectly fine. Instead of Sagun Brahma, let today you be a Nirgun Brahma to guide us. Please carry on.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for this detail here. Yes. Greetings to everybody. Thank you to the organizers for organizing this wonderful event. I'm new to it, but the little I have seen and participated, it seems actually it's quite inspiring. Thank you for having honored me with an invitation to say a few words. As was the introduction already said, I'm a yogic nun of Ananda Marga, a social spiritual organization founded by Sri Anandamurti. He was born in Jamalpur in 1922, and he left his body in October 1989. And he left us an amazing wealth of spiritual philosophy and social philosophy, spiritual practices, spiritual songs called Pravat Sangit, a program of social service that includes schools, children's homes, and many other programs all over the world. I was asked to talk about Ishvara Pranidhan. So where do we know these words from, Ishvara Pranidhan? About 2,300 years ago, the great yogi Patanjali wrote the book Yoga Sutra, a collection of 195 sutras which deal with the theory and practice of yoga. And Sutra 29 says, Jama Niyama, Asana Pranayama, Pratyahara Dharana Dhyan, Samadhi Ashtangani. Meaning, the 8 limbs or steps of yoga are the codes of self-regulation or restraint, observances or practice of self-training, postures, expansion of breath and prana, withdrawal of the senses, concentration, meditation, and perfected concentration. So these 8 steps of yoga, as outlined by Patanjali, are meant to purify body and mind to be able to reach the goal. And the goal meaning union with the Supreme. Union is the true meaning of the word yoga. Union with the Supreme is what yoga is all about. So the jamas and niyamas are the first 2 steps of this 8-fold yoga. And jama is about my conduct with the external world, and the niyamas about my relation to myself and my rules and conduct with my inner self. So jama are 5 principles and niyama are 5 principles. And Ishvara Pranidhana is the 5th principle of niyama. Sri Anandamurti has included these 8 steps with some reinterpretation as part of the spiritual practices of yoga in Ananda Marga, and he wrote them down in a book called Guide to Human Conduct. So the yoga practiced in Ananda Marga is Ashtanga yoga, based upon Tantra. So what does Ishvara Pranidhan mean? So what does Ishvara mean, the Sanskrit term Ishvara? There are different interpretations, but it commonly means the controller of this universe. He who controls the thought waves of this universe is Ishvara. So for a sadhaka, for a spiritual aspirant, Ishvara is understood to be God. Pranidhana means to adopt something as your shelter, as a shelter. So Ishvara Pranidhana means to accept Ishvara as one's shelter, as one's only ideal of life. When we channelize all our thoughts, all our desires towards the one, towards Ishvara, this is what's called Ishvara Pranidhana. It is a mental effort, it is internal, it is totally a mental effort based upon ideation, based upon bhav. You are internally developing a relationship with your personal goal, with Ishvara. And as Ishvara is the most subtle entity of the universe, it can only be realized through feeling, through ideation. It is an act of devotion. And therefore, Ishvara Pranidhana is an act of devotion. It is bhakti yoga. Bhakti means when this intense feeling arouses, this intense feeling of I will not remain separate from him. I will reach him by any means. I will embrace him. O Lord, thou art my supreme love. I must realize thee and I will realize thee. It is a state of total surrender, where one realizes that not even a blade of grass can move without his will. An example of this devotion and surrender is of Draupadi, the wife of the 5 Pandavas, in the time of the Mahabharata. In a courtroom full of people, in order to shame and humiliate Draupadi, her and the Pandavas, Duryodhana, of the Kauravas, an enemy of the Pandavas, orders his brother Dushasana to strip off Draupadi's sari. And while Dushasana is pulling on her sari, Draupadi holds on very tight, as much as she can to her sari, and she's calling out for help. But nobody's coming to her rescue. And then after a while, she loses hope of anybody saving her in that place. Then she lets go of her sari, and she raises up both her arms in the air in total surrender to Krishna. And it's only then, after she totally surrenders, that the miracle unfolds. While Dushasana is pulling her sari, he's pulling more cloth, and no matter how much cloth he's pulling, he is not able to remove the sari from Draupadi, and she was saved. So how to accomplish this? How to develop this devotion and surrender? Ishvara Pranidhana means to do daily practices of meditation. And meditation here means to sit cross-legged, Padmasana if possible, and do a mental exercise of pratyahara, meaning withdrawing the mind from the external world and focusing it in on one point, and then with the help of mantra, meditate on Ishvara. And by doing this on a regular basis, mind will change. Your inner feeling and outlook towards the world will change. Often people, when they start meditation, they expect quick results. They expect some divine experiences. But for most people, most of the time, it is a daily effort. But it is this effort, this daily effort of concentration and taking the mind deeper and deeper within, that slowly transforms your mind, and it takes it to a deeper level. And your way of thinking and looking at the world changes. It can be different for different people. Some people have some unique experiences, others may not. But it's the effort of meditation that counts. One time a disciple, he asked the master, how do I know my meditation is working? Feeling a certain frustration with this effort of meditating and not of meditation, and not really feeling any particular having any particular experiences? The master answered, not with explaining about different samadhis and different deep spiritual experiences, which you can expect after deep and long meditations. But he said, and he gave this very interesting answer, when your radius of love is expanding, you know you are doing your meditation well. So when you see your capacity of expanding your love from family to community to the planets and the whole universe, you know you are spiritually progressing. When the love for your inner Ishvara grows, love for the universe also grows. It is desirable to practice your meditation alone in a lonely place, but it can also be done collectively. Sri Anandamurti says, quote, the indomitable mental force aroused as a result of collective Ishvara Pranidhana will help you solve any problem, great or small, on this earth. It is for this reason that you should always be zealous to attend weekly collective meditation. The members of Ananda Marga practice daily meditation in their house or wherever they are, and also make effort to be there once a week for the collective meditation. I have mentioned that devotion for the Supreme is an essential part of Ishvara Pranidhana. But in this materialistic and aggressive society, many find it hard to protect and develop this inner sentiment. Sri Anandamurti says, quote, the devotional sentiment is the highest and most valuable treasure of humanity. This element of devotion, the most precious treasure of humanity, must be preserved most carefully. Because it is such a tender inner asset, to preserve it from the onslaughts of materialism, one must build a protective fence around it, a proper philosophy, which will establish the correct harmony between the spiritual and material worlds and be a perennial source of inspiration for the onward movement of society. He lays this out, this philosophy, this theory, in a book called New Humanism and the Liberation of Intellect, which will be a topic for another time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Didi Anand Sadhana ji. It was a very inspiring speech where you mentioned about Ishwar Pranadhana. Ishwar is one who controls the divine, which controls the universe, and Pranidhana is taking the shelter. And you mentioned that we need to do daily meditation. The thing that you mentioned really inspired everybody, as when a disciple asked that, how do I know that meditation is working? And you said that when your zone of love is expanding. So I'm sure, as you rightly said, when your love for creator expands, your love for creation also expands. Thank you very much for your inspiring thoughts and guidance. Thank you for blessing us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
On
very
behalf
much.
of United Consciousness, I thank Didi Ananda Sadhana for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and sharing her views. Thank you so much. I'm very honored and delighted to welcome our performance from the organization Play for Change. Play for Change is not only the organization, but it is a movement created to inspire and connect the world through music and break the boundaries. They reimagine a world connected by music to spread a global message of hope and unity. Playing for Change was born in 2002 as a shared vision between co-founder Mark Johnson and Whitney Kroenke. This musical journey resulted in the award-winning documentary, A Cinematic Discovery of Street Music. Today we have a performance from them on Chanda Mama. In the group we have Damien Mizat from France, Junior Kisan Vega from Congo, Lewis Mahalanga from Zimbabwe, Marcelo from Argentina, Noel from Argentina, Ronaldo from Cuba, Roberto from Italy, Rupak from India, Santiago from Argentina, Sibongisne from South Africa, Sinabwe from South Africa, the Oneness Corps from India, Tula from Israel, Tusharlal from India, Palau from Portugal, and Stefano from Italy. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the group Play for Change. On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Play for Change musical group for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and giving such a wonderful performances. On behalf of United Consciousness, I feel privileged to welcome and introduce our next guest, Swami Shankara Tilaka Saraswati Ji. He is a monk, teacher of masters with a long experience in his life of the Dharma as well as in teaching of it. He has dedicated more than 30 years to the service of his teacher, Swami Tilaka Paramahansa, as well as to the institutions that he founded in his name in 1979. The very venerable is in this special phase of his life in sadhana known as the embrace of the tree or immersions in the forest, which means that he has removed most public activities, initiations and other responsibilities in which he has invested most of his life. He is dedicated to create teachings manuals to the translation of the classical text of Vedic traditions written in Sanskrit and to occasionally participate in few very selected programs. Swamiji is a magnificent speaker having deep knowledge in the science of yoga from the therapeutic perspective, the psychological perspective, or his knowledge about the non-dualistic Vedanta philosophy on which he throws light in an unparalleled way over the most difficult passage to understand in the Upanishads when dealing with Brahman, being and non-being. His boundless energy and his brilliant theoretical and practical knowledge of the Tantra Vidya, according to Abhinav Gupta tradition, invite you to approach with enthusiasm to learn the cultivation of the Shakti, the primal one, and the awakening of the Kundalini Shakti, the expansion of the nucleus of the internal nature. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Swami Shankara Tilaka Saraswati ji.
गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम गम गणपतये नमः। ओम ऐं सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय गुरवे सच्चिदानन्दमूर्तये निष्प्रपञ्चाय शान्ताय निरालम्बाय तेजसे श्री सद्गुरुदेवते नमः। श्री बाबजरंगते नमः। श्री तिलक स्वामी परमहंसते नमः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Hariom, Shubharatri from Rishikesh, from under the main gates of the Himalayas in India. I'm disciple of the very venerable Swami Tilak Paramahansa, and my name is Shankar Tilak Swami. In the beginning, I want to give my gratitude to the brilliant organizer of this great event, to the United Consciousness International Yoga Week, and to the esteemed chief guest, Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, President of the Indian Council for Cultural Relationship of the ICCR of India, the special guest of honor, Sri Puja Swami Sarupa Ananda Maharajaji, Dr. Sri Padma Hansa Yogendraji, Sri Dinesh K. Patnaik, former director of the ICCR, and now is our ambassador of India in Spain. Venerable Mahatmas, Swamis, Yogirajaris, illustrious professors and scholars, experts and enlightenment minds, and all the brothers and sisters who attended this international program. The topic is you are a signet, and thank you very much for that, because you give me the opportunity to share the inspiring thoughts that my venerable teacher took me 40 years ago on the banks of the sacred river Narmada in the Madhya Pradesh in the central India, about the Adhyatma Vidya, the sciences of the soul. This topic is named Brahmacharya, aligning to the higher principle of life. The practice of Brahmacharya is the foundation of the spiritual evolution of the Dharma of the Vedas, and therefore the great platform of advancement in the mysticism of yoga. It is this physio-psycho-energetic material basis of the advances in the transformation by the sublimation of human nature in advanced towards its divine and brilliant nature. The emotional and vital wear and tear to which we are subject requires a recovery strategy for our essential elements, together with adequate karmic purification, which reinstalled us in the Dharma. Brahmacharya is a Sanskrit term and concept that is ultra present in our Shastras, in our sacred scriptures, as a source of serenization of the mind, focus of emotions, and redirection of all of life. Brahmacharya is a Sanskrit term and concept that is ultra present in our scriptures because give us the opportunity to not only serenize our mind, give us the opportunity to learn with adequate qualified intelligence the sacred teachings of our masters and also to advance it in the sacred practice of meditation. The term, the term tells us that we are meaning, we are moving and leading towards the knowledge of Brahma. This is the meaning of Brahmacharya, is to move towards the knowledge of Brahman under the compassionate and vigilant guidance of understanding Dharmacharya, means Dharma teacher, who will teach us how to learn to sublimate our vital energies and not repress them. Repression is the enemy of the Brahmacharya teachings and the chain of many traumas and haunts man through his life. In the yoga of the successful coronation of the mind, we learned the Pratipaksha Bhavana in three stages: suppressions, substitution, and sublimation. When we begin to want to strengthen our mind and personality to make it suitable for a freer life in the fortress, we must restrict habits to take emotional space through action in order to begin the process of learning of substitution. When we have adopted the new habits of life and mortified our mind with a new spiritual energy coming from the holy name, the substitution process is built in us, created a new mentality and character. Otherwise, we will enter into failure and the repressive setback. When the mind is adapted to a new excellency, the Oja Shakti is a Sanskrit concept, is produced, or the sublimation is produced of the intense energy, sequestering the obsession by a power hiding in it, which gives us Brahmatejasa, that is projected in the meditative life and is one of the causes of the success of meditation. As Sri Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita, the chapter 6, in the verses 10 to 15, in which he considered that dedication to the teacher, the service, the sadhana, and the vital and emotional self-control are part of the brahmacharya, and they are essential to obtain the peace of nirvana that comes from meditation. Patanjali Maharishi teaches us in the Yoga Sutra, Brahmacharya Pratishtayam Viryalabaha. When we are very well established in the brahmacharya, we obtain the internal virya who impulsed us to the enlightenment of the perfect peace. The life is reinforced with the bala shakti, means the strength, and we grow like a real human, very matured human beings. There's many references in the scriptures about the greatness of the brahmacharya, like an example in the Upanishads, when he say, Nayama Atma Balahinina Labhyaha. Is it not possible to attain it, the enlightenment, for who is destituted of strength? It's necessary to practice some discipline and sacrifices when our mind is occupied in many obsesses, desired and focalized in dispersed thoughts. We lose the strength of our mind. For that, the brahmacharya is very useful. Brahmacharya is possible to interpret it like a celibacy, but brahmacharya is more than the restraint of the sexual practices. Brahmacharya is the dedication of our strength and discipline to get all the forces, all the energies collected oral capacities for dedicated in our work, in our goal, in to achieve our the excellency of our ideals. They are not purification in the spiritual field, the Adhyatma Vidya, is there not the present the name of Sri Rama. We say in the Bhakti of Sri Rama Dharma. There are different understanding about how we conquer our mind. If our mind is full of our thoughts, is full is working with the subculture we get from our education, from our parents, relatives, friends, society, etc. Obviously, our minds always thinking in one platform, in one level, in one tendency. For that, it's necessary to cut this samsara of the continuous mistake about the concept of love through the emotional understanding. Brahmacharya is more than directed on sexuality in prema, in compassion and in purity, without any kind of unnecessary passion. But if we teach in the 21st century what is brahmacharya, like example, the restraint of the sexuality, maybe nobody want to understand properly what things we want to say in the spiritual platform. It's better to teach the brahmacharya by the necessity to learn how to manage our emotion in a proper way. This is the best thinking to teach in the 21st century what is brahmacharya, and also maybe for all of us we are senior now to understand what is brahmacharya is to follow the regulation of our gurus, our tradition, to listen the advices of our elders about how we need to manage our emotion in any field of the life. Sexuality is one of these fields of the life, but from the energy of sexuality we created the power of our thoughts, and we try to be free from any unnecessary boundaries and sufferings from bad karmas. Thank you very much for listening to my short speech, and I want to finish with one beautiful prayer in Sanskrit, who is connected with the brahmacharya, with the respect to the teacher, and with the love to the dharma. Om Vedamanchacharyo Intevasinam Manushasti Satyam Vada Dharmanchara Swadhyayam Pramadah Acharyaya Priyam Dhanam Ahritya Prajatantum Vyavashchitasi Satyanna Pramaditavyam Dharmanna Pramaditavyam Kushala Anna Pramaditavyam Uttena Pramaditavyam Swadhyaya Pravachanna Bhyanna Pramaditavyam Deva Pitrukarya Bhanna Pramaditavyam Matru Devo Baba Pitru Devo Baba Acharyo Devo Baba Atiti Devo Baba Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, respected Swamiji, that you chose to bless us today. Topic that you chose to speak, Brahmacharya, and the way you elaborated it from various scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads. You rightly mentioned that Brahmacharya is not only celibacy, it's a dedication to get aligned to the higher in life. As you mentioned, Atma Vidya. I'm sure that whatever you taught will be heard in the same spirit as you mentioned. Thank you very much for blessing United Consciousness. Thank you.
Dhanyavad.
On behalf of
Shubharatri.
United Consciousness, I thank Swami Shankara Tilaka Saraswati ji for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness and sharing his views. Thank you. I feel excited to welcome and introduce our next guest who believes in helping others, Ms. Laila Vendecuse. She is a mother of 2 daughters and works as an optician. She also owns a small business of making crochet, such as table pads and hairbands, and also jewelry from beads. She's fond of reading. She's a member of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Suriname. The council is concerned with the well-being of not only the Baha'i community, but also the rest of the community in Suriname. And one activity they are teaching to the community is to start prayer meetings in their home or neighborhood. The knowledge is one which liberates. Akshara Kids Academy is a mission to enlighten the little noble souls. It is an initiative to provide the virtuous knowledge to kids by inculcating Vedantic learning pattern with modern teaching techniques, with a vision to provide a world-class education focusing on the key human values of harmony and love, ethos and wisdom, conduct and ethics. We value education which provides enlightenment. We value making positive contribution to society. We value in child enrichment. We value boredom-free education system.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्.
This shloka means, may everyone be happy. May everyone be free from all diseases. May everyone see goodness and auspiciousness in everything. May none be unhappy or distressed. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. I am highly privileged to have this opportunity to present my gratitude to all those who have witnessed and blessed this event directly or indirectly. I believe that this is not the end, but the beginning of our journeys. The journeys towards the noble cause of removing the 14 divides rooted in human race and promoting harmonious and peaceful coexistence. Firstly, I thank the God for blessing us all. I thank European Yoga Federation, thank the Spiritual Council in Africa. I am also very thankful for Yoga Vidya, Germany, Yoga Lam, Russia, Siddhashram, Turkey, Nidra Consciousness, France, Yoga Yogismo, South America, AAYT, Australia, World Movement for Yoga and Ayurveda, Italy, CUIYW, Italy, the World Community of Indian Culture and Tradition Disciplines, Italy. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our speakers, Acharya Vivek Gupta ji, Ms. Sabita Gir, Didi Ananda Sadhana, Swami Shankara Tilaka Saraswati ji,
Swami Narsimhananda.
I also thank our esteemed panelists, Ms. Aishwarya Devi, Mr. Stephen Evanbach, Ms. Nyamvati,
Swami Narsimhananda.
I am thankful to our yoga and meditation experts, Ms. Nyamvati, Ms. Laila Vendecuse. Also very thankful to our music and dance performers. I owe my heartfelt thanks to Team Project Self USA, Shri Rajesh Rabindranath, Ms. Madhurika Arvind, Ms. Rashmi Kashi, Dr. Prasad Akavu, Dr. Vijay Reddy, Ms. Gina Suresh, Mr. Karthik Palamalai, Mr. K.L. Alexander, Mr. Venkat Sriram Lalu, Ms. Deepthi Nair, Ms. Avneet Bad, Mr. Suresh, Mr. Devaraju, Ms. Deepa Arun. I thank Team Project Self Bharat, Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, Dr. Shweta Tomar, Aditi Meghna Mausan Prachi, Mr. J.S. Juneja, Dr. Paramji Juneja, Rishi Vishalji Arnav, Aditya Ashwin, Rati Dharmendraji Uday, Poojaji Bhartiji, Diptiji, Amrishji, Mrinalniji, Khushbuji, Jimmyji, Mr. Sanjay Rajput, Ms. Simran Reel. I am also very grateful for our new members in the team of United Consciousness, Ms. Aishwarya, Ms. Priyanka and Mr. Prakash Tyagi. I am very much thankful to our wonderful audience and all the visible and invisible sources blessing us.